Welcome to episode 60 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Pamela John. Pamela is the owner of Pamela John Fitness in Memphis, Tennessee. She is also a health and wellness consultant, a CPT group instructor, and AFAA certified personal trainer, an IFBB Bikini pro athlete and master's bikini coach, and a published author. This month is her 10-year anniversary being in the fitness and personal training industry. And she's also a professional model and makeup artist with Colors Model and Talent. Welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you. What a nice, warm welcome.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people do not know.
That is such a broad question.
I know.
You just totally gave me this much room. Something people may not know about me, did you say?
Yes, please.
Okay. My father used to own a motorcycle shop, and it was my greatest desire as a young lady to ride dirt bikes. So that's something I don't really talk about a lot. I got a bike for my 13th birthday, Can-Am 125.
Wow. How long did you have that bike for?
Oh, a couple of years.
A couple of years.
Yeah.
I bet that was a fun time, though.
It was fun. We had a lot of fun. We rode a lot of four-wheelers and three-wheelers. I rode more of those than I wound up riding the Can-Am, but it was definitely fun.
You know, you grew up in Memphis and you went to Ridgeway High School. And what are some of your best memories from your childhood that put a smile on your face now when you think about them?
Oh my gosh, that I survived it.
Yes.
Is what puts the biggest smile on my face. I was not the most compliant child with respect to jumping through all of the expected hoops. So that I graduated was wonderful, and went on to, like I said, survive, and that I'm still here today puts a big giant smile on my face. I was somewhat rebellious.
You know, after high school, you started working with Colors Model and Talent as a professional model and makeup artist. And over the years, you've done national television commercials for Miller Lite, AutoZone, Fantastic Sam's, Gold Strike Casino, and more. And you're also on Elvis television series. You've done runway models. You've done a lot of print work. You've been in the industry for well over half your life, I believe 33 years now. How did you get started with all of that? And tell us a little bit more about some of the work that you've done.
Oh, okay. So I started when I was 13. My mom thought I was a bit of a tomboy. I told you my greatest desire was to ride bikes with my dad and my brother. So I was a little bit of a tomboy. I had short hair, and I think she was a little concerned that I wasn't quite as feminine as she had envisioned that I would be. So she put me in private lessons with a local guru, and I studied with her privately. And her name's Pearl Hurst. She connected me with a local photographer, and it kind of just snowballed from there. He connected me with an agent who connected me with clients. My first agent was Ruth Lancaster of Elite Model and Talent, which then changed over to, a number of years later, Lancaster Models. And then when Lancaster dissolved, Colors handpicked a few models that they wanted to begin their agency with. And I just kind of was blessed enough to be selected and stay on with them. I don't know if I question.
No, you did. You'd answer the question. So perfect. TJ Cates is involved with National Entertainment Weekly, TMZ, TV TMZ, America's Got Talent. He's a writer for Warner Brothers, LA, HBO. And you were in a few movies of his, The Glassed Eye, and you were also in Como Hunt Club. He said of you, quote, "The professional way she carries herself really stood out. I asked her to play a part of a struggling man's wife with family and financial hardships in the film The Glassed Eye. She stepped right into the role perfectly. The next year, I asked her to play the role of my ex-wife that remarried to a rich man. I enjoyed the scene we had together. She was a totally different person in that role. Have let lines not as a lady down on her much like before, but as a newly wealthy woman. The thing I remember most is that she did not play it as a typical actress would. She had a focus to be a low key and believable person that had simply risen above this life of a small town sheriff's wife, unquote. For someone that's as talented in the industry as TJ is, that's a powerful statement about how talented you are. What do you
Oh,
remember most about those times, and did you enjoy working with him?
oh, I love TJ. He's just such a nice person. He's such a great guy. Um, and just like really talented at his craft. Just he wears so many hats in that industry that he even reached out to me for any of that. I was just honestly was, to be honest, blown away and humbled because I don't have a lot of acting experience. And you see that on my resume. I really don't. I mean, I've been in some small productions, but nothing significant in the way of a role. So he really took a chance. And for him to have said such nice things means a lot to me.
You worked as a cosmetic consultant for a company for about 6 years, and then you developed your own cosmetic line in September of 2003 called Pamela John Cosmetics. How does one develop their own cosmetic line and make it successful like you did, because you had it for over 20 years?
Well, I don't think I quite had it that long, but good homework. My gosh. So a part of it, like I worked at, you said, as a consultant. So I worked at Joseph. And I worked there at a time prior to their prior to them carrying cosmetics. So when it was only shoes and apparel, that was when I started working at Joseph's. That was quite a while ago. Well, they happened to pick up cosmetics while I was there, and that was a passion of mine because I had been a makeup artist. Um, and so I thought, well, guys, will y'all let me switch over from shoes and handbags and let me work in your cosmetics department? Because that excites me like nothing else. And they allowed it. And I was super excited and blessed that they allowed me to train under all of the lines. And every line that they carried was what I had considered to be premier and one of the best available out there, like Trish McAvoy, Crème de la Mer, Laura Mercier, Christian Dior. I don't know if you're familiar with any of these, Bobby
I
Brown,
am. Mhm.
Kiehl's, just really beautiful high-end lines, which afforded me a lot of training. And the clientele would come in and I would really listen to what it was that they were saying that they wanted and what they weren't quite able to get there. But many of them would have a procedure and they couldn't use conventional color because conventional color, meaning the way it's manufactured conventionally in a lab, wasn't conducive to post-procedure healing. So I thought, wouldn't it be really cool if someone created a cosmetic line that was paramedical concealers, mineral foundation that could be used almost immediately post-procedure, and then just conventional color. So that was what I went aiming to do and what I wound up with. And my first account was a plastic surgery group working with his clients post-procedure. So after I did that, I knew it worked. Obviously, I was really grateful and tried to grow it from there. I was a one-woman show. I was doing all my own marketing, all my own advertising. I was doing most of the advertising I was doing for trade. So I would let's say if I was in Ford magazine or Memphis or any other, I'd say, I'll do your makeup for editorial if you let me have an ad. So we negotiated and did a lot of things like that because when it's just you, you have to get really creative.
Right. You got to do what you have to do.
Yes. Yes.
When you were younger, I believe you ran track, long jump, and sprints. You danced, and then you took a break from athletics for the most part around 20. until your mid 30s. And you just worked out here and there, you've talked about. And at that time, you were a smoker and you were plagued with bronchitis, yearly. And by the time you were 37, you'd had enough. You said, quote, "That's it. I'm quitting. No more bronchitis. My kids need a mom. My husband needs a wife," unquote. There's nothing like the power of a moment when you're tired of living a certain way and you make the decision to take control of your life, is there?
No, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah. I actually started smoking when I was 14. So if you really want the real story, and my track, the best I ever was prior to that, was when I was 12, 13. And I did basically, do you remember Shelby Youth Athletics?
Mm-hmm.
You, and I did that. And I went to a meet and I did my long jump. And based off of that, they invited me to the Junior Olympics. But, if at that time, I told you, like, I was blessed to have graduated. I'm super blessed to be here. Like, praise God that I'm above the ground because of all of the crazy decisions that I made that were not the best from the age of like 12 to, oh gosh, I'll go on and say to 35, 40. And honestly, they got better, progressively better as I aged. But as a young person, I definitely pushed the limits, and would get bored very easily and just wanted, as soon as I did one thing and felt even mildly accomplished, I was on to the next. God gave me the gift of humility as I grew. And that's been the most powerful and poignant gift, I think. And just the one I'm so grateful for, just that the reminder that we're all human, and that's an affliction we all share. Anyway, so.
When you were 32 years old, you were diagnosed with Graves' disease. And it's one of the most common thyroid and immune system disorders that it results in overproduction of thyroid hormones, and symptoms can include anxiety, heat sensitivity, rapid heartbeat, muscle fatigue, trouble sleeping, weight loss, and then enlarged thyroid. And you said at the time, quote, "My condition gave me every excuse to settle into who I was, even as I started working out and picking up healthy habits to regain control of my health. Graves' disease made it difficult to get through workouts and see the results I wanted," unquote. You're, a very determined person, and you were not going to let this defeat you. Even though the medications you said stopped working for you.
Mhm.
Please, tell the audience what you did next that just changed everything for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I remember we talked when we had coffee. That was a long battle. That was a really long battle. When I was diagnosed, it was after the birth of my last child. And it was found as a result of very disturbing and profound physical symptoms. Some in which they were thinking, maybe you had a stroke. Maybe, we don't know. We need to do brain scans. We've got to do all this, because I was having unilateral numbness and weakness on my entire right side and holes in my vision. So it was a really scary time for me. And with all that going on at that age, I still didn't not even consider, stopping smoking. It was like I would go to the doctor and he would say, "Well, you really need to quit smoking." And I'd be like, "Well, it's that or crack. I've got 3 kids at home. You know this, right?" I mean, it's the way I coped with my stress. It was what I did. Some people would drink, some people do crack. I would smoke a cigarette. So fast forward some number of years, I was on PT, I believe it was called PTU, and it lost its efficacy. It was not suppressing my thyroid stimulating hormone production any longer. By then I had quit smoking and was trying to do other things like, let me get into the gym. Let me see if living a healthy lifestyle will, maybe reverse some of this, which now that I'm a little bit older and well-read, I realize it's more diet that's going to affect autoimmunity than it is activity, like physical activity, though physical activity helps, certainly. But at that time, I didn't have all this knowledge. So for years, from basically the onset of this condition and the diagnosis to 10 years when I finally consented to letting them take my thyroid out, they had been advising it. They would tell me it typically doesn't get any better, it will typically only get worse. And I just kept praying, God, you gave me this. It's a part of me. I'm really reluctant to let it go. And that was all I would cling on to for the longest. I'm going to keep fighting this fight. And I cannot even remember what the catalyst was that gave me the 180. But I feel like I was just finally on my knees with this. Nothing was getting better, and it just continued. And then my eyes became involved, and that was super difficult because it was painful. And I said, all right, it's time. I just can't keep playing this game. I mean, and that was one of those things too, where I was like, with the smoking, I want to be around for my kids. I want to see my kids graduate high school. I want to see my grandchildren, I want to be a part of their lives for as long as I can be. So anyway.
You said, quote, if you aren't pushing forward on your fitness journey, you're journeying backwards, unquote. What does that mean to you?
Well, there just isn't any such thing as stagnation. It's plain and simple, black and white.
What happens if someone gets stagnant?
And there is no such thing as stagnation. You're either moving forward, pushing, or you're backsliding.
Well, what if someone feels like they're stagnant and they're not, though, right?
They better push forward,
right.
Or they're actually not stagnant. They're just fooling themselves.
Right.
They're really slipping. So just press on. Like and sorry, Mom, she doesn't know. Neither is my dad. The only tattoo I have is that of an infinity, because it never ends. It's not body, built, it's body building. God doesn't say, okay, I'm finished giving you chances. He says, I'll give you as many as you need, right? He never cuts us off. He's a loving father. He wants us to get it right. So you just keep pressing, keep moving on, keep moving forward, up and on.
You not only got into, great physical shape yourself with the decision that you made, but you also went all in October of 2012, and you became an AFAA certified personal trainer. What led you to the decision to do that, to help other people achieve their goals too?
That was it. I wanted to help other people achieve their goals. That was it. And it was more about the mindset that most people adopt. If you get diagnosed with some catastrophic illness, you have a tendency to say, all right, that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. That's what's doing me in. It can't be any different. And that's humanity. That's human nature. Rather than saying, because it's difficult, maybe I can do something about this. Maybe I can be proactive. It could be different. It could be otherwise. So I just wanted people to know that just because someone says you have Graves' disease doesn't mean that you'll never be fit. Or just because you smoke a pack a day doesn't mean you'll never quit. Just because you might be morbidly obese doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to, change your life completely around 180. That's what I was telling you about my God. He's a God of infinite chances and infinite gifts, and he wants for us more than we want for ourselves. So if he can allow you to believe that it's possible, then it is.
And you've helped a ton of people too, Pam. One of
Mm.
the quotes is, "So proud of my client and friend Alexandria Lee Overton. Be sure and pick up a copy of September's Memphis Health and Fitness magazine to check her out. Such a wonderfully inspiring story, incredible young lady with a remarkable work ethic. Love you and so proud of you, Alex." Unquote. Tell us a little bit more about her and where she started and to get to the place where she is now, which obviously is really awesome.
Alex was a pediatric cardiac patient. She had open heart surgery. She has neck, I'm going to get it all wrong, but she has neck injury. She's had disc issues in her neck. So when she came to me, she had had a couple of other coaches because she'd been wanting to break into and had already broken into the NPC space as a bikini athlete. And she was great. She's done really wonderful. She's always, because like I said, she's got a great work ethic and she's just remarkable. You give her the tools and she will go and do. But thank God our paths crossed. I went to Stretch Zone and she's the manager at the Stretch Zone in East Memphis. Go see her. She's amazing. And I was a client, just a client. And we were talking and, you know, it was a fit. It was just a real fit. It was a marriage. She is just amazing. We've trained around her neck injury. I know I can't do back squats with her because the barbell loading on her neck is not going to be a great thing for her discs. And the doctors released her from limitations with respect to her heart. So she's doing great. We just train intelligently for her so that she can have a long career.
From 2017 to 2022, and maybe it started before, you've competed in many IFBB Pro League competitions around the United States. You've placed high in a lot of these events. I know that you've competed at least 2 events this year, and you placed, I believe, 4th in both of them. It takes a ton of hard work and discipline and desire to prepare for these competitions. And tell us a little bit about when you're preparing and to do this, what your daily routine is like, what you do training wise and how long it takes you to prepare.
Okay. Do you want the sugar coated version or the real one?
The real one.
Okay. With respect to this competition season, this is I've been self-coached most of my career. I picked up a coach. His name's Claudio Hay last November. And he is, he is from, I think it's Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. So I've been really excited to be working with him and change my training modalities. I've always had the mindset and been of the belief that I need to remain a student, have the mindset of I want to learn. I want to learn as much as I can. And it's difficult to coach yourself because you get, no matter who you are, you get a certain level of dysmorphia with respect to the way that you look, especially when you're cutting your calories and trying to get the fat to come off. So I knew he would be key with respect to that. And he's, like I said, giving me great training modalities that are new for me. Everything is just completely different this year for me. So we started my prep actively in probably March, I would say. And I competed in July. Isn't that right, Michael? You've got my history more.
That's right. It was July.
So it wasn't an aggressive prep, but I was kind of just as compliant as a human can be to his process. Like I know how to cut myself and get lean in 8-10 weeks, but I wanted to do it like I wanted to be a student. So, and it worked out really well because he brought me in fuller to that first competition than I'd ever been. But what it looks like is I'll just tell you where I am now. Off season, typically I'll do 45 minutes of cardio, maybe 5 days a week. I like cardio. Some people hate it, but my cardio isn't like running. I don't run. My favorite thing to do is to walk the stairs. You know this. I take them by twos and jog down for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Now that I'm actively trying to get super lean, and for your viewers who may not know, basically what we're looking to do is get as much adipose off of the body as we can while preserving lean mass. So right now I'm doing 45 minutes of cardio in the morning fasted, an hour to an hour and 15 minutes in the gym, and then another 30 minutes in the afternoon. The intensity is a little bit greater because at my last competition, they said, come in leaner, just in certain areas. And I'm like, okay. So that's been it's been fun to try to kick it up another notch with cardio and push the body to new limits, I feel like. So we'll see what happens.
Malcolm Gladwell has a book called Outliers, The Story of Success. And one of the quotes in it that you posted is, quote, practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good, unquote. What does that mean to you?
Well, there's another way of putting it. If you've listened to any motivational speakers, they'll say 10,000 hours makes you pretty good at something. It just takes time. You know, nobody really steps into a space unless they're gifted by God, right? And is automatically the best. And if they do walk into a space and they're automatically the best, typically they don't have the work ethic to stay there because they're bored to tears. So I don't know. I just really think anything worth having is worth working hard for. And you just got to do it to the best of your ability. And part of that is practicing and getting good at your craft. And as far as mine, that's getting good at my lifts when I'm off season and staying good with my isometrics for posing and keeping that sharp as well.
Quote, once upon a time, long ago in a land far away, I used to paint all the time, unquote. I saw your paintings, Pam, and they're amazing.
No,
Like seriously, really, really good.
you're sweet.
How did you realize that you had this talent, and why the heck did you stop painting?
Oh my God. Oh gosh. So in high school, that was all I really wanted to do was be in the art crowd and be an artist and do artsy things. And I loved writing poetry. I have just a book. I'm a published poet too. You probably didn't know that about me. A poetry that I wrote. But again, that was when things were, you know, you typically want that outlet when you perceive yourself to be a tormented soul. Because you don't want to burden people with all of that. So you look for a way to get, you know, whatever you perceive as afflicting you, whatever darkness you're feeling out. So that was a part of my love of music, art, and poetry. And this, maybe some of the pictures you've seen probably are the ones that I've done as an adult. I wasn't in a dark place. I just really loved to paint. And I didn't have the physical outlet that I am using now as an expression of like my love story to the world. So that was what it was. It was painting. And my kids, oh, I'm so like, it just makes me so happy. Like two of my daughters are very artistic. And the other one is like the most amazing writer who has no clue. She is just like it's ridiculous. I'm like, thank you, God. You're amazing.
You said, quote, pain is a purifier. A bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul. Stay in it. Tragedy dealt with reveals strength, unquote. It's the tough times and that pain that you referred to that makes us stronger, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yes. And that's really what gives you such a deep appreciation for life and a capacity to love and to feel, um, to be passionate and compassionate. Yes. Uh, I love broken people. I love all people, but
So let's talk about imposter syndrome. You wrote a
oh,
blog about and posted about this. You said, quote, everyone has off days, makes mistakes, stumbles and falls, fails from time to time. We are all afflicted with one commonality, humanity, which makes us the kings and queens of, quote, imposter syndrome, unquote. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
imposter syndrome. Well, of course, I didn't coin that, and a lot of the quotes that you're giving me, I've just found somewhere, and I'm like, God, that's amazing. Really resonates with me. But
Right.
Imposter syndrome is just that, like, who am I to think that I'm going to be able to do that? Like, who am I to think that I could sit in on Michael's podcast and anyone would even want to hear a word of what I have to say? That's imposter syndrome, right? Or who am I? You just don't think you're good enough to. And for a long time, I didn't think I was good enough to start my own business, to, step out in faith and help other women, to, what makes me better than who would want to hear what I have to say, right? But everybody feels that way at
Right.
one point or another. And it's when we begin to think that we have a monopoly on those feelings that we become crippled. So I just want to encourage people and let them know, everybody goes through that. It's normal. Push on, press on, hence the infinity. Don't
Right.
stop. Keep going. Keep going. Because, and here comes another one that I didn't make up, but that I love. What? And now I can't even think of it. Look, that's how old I am. It's something to the effect that if, action is done is better than perfect. How about that? So just do something, take action. Don't get locked into the paralysis by analysis. Done is better than perfect. That's where the whole imposter thing comes in. We think we can't do anything because there's no way we could do it well or perfectly or as good as an expert, yada, yada.
One of your students, Elizabeth Smith, said, quote, I love my coach, Pamela Arnold John, more than I can express. My teammate, Erica Dudek, said it best. This coach of mine, she dressed so beautifully for the Nashville Fit evening show. I asked if she was presenting an award. She said she was representing for me and for my fellow teammates. My coach shows up for me. I can't thank her enough for guiding me, shaping me, and believing me. You, Pam, are a blessing in my life and strong presence in my health, unquote. You love your students. It's obvious, and your students love you. What you do for them goes far beyond just helping them get into shape, Pam, and preparing for competitions. The people that you work with, they really mean everything to you, don't they?
They do. They really do. I feel like I told you, I feel like God he puts people together, and it's for a purpose. It's not by accident. It's not coincidence. Every person that you meet serves a divine purpose in your life. And they're amazing, amazing women and inspire me. I just think I can't say enough about, they're also different, but also wonderful. I'm so blessed to be able to work with them.
I do not believe in coincidence at any level. I believe that things happen the way and it's unfortunate, obviously, a lot of them, but things happen the way they're supposed to happen with us as far as those things are concerned and people that come into your lives, like you talked about. So, yeah, it just works that way.
Yes. And oftentimes, and I bet you feel this way too, don't you feel like something that you may perceive at the time as being catastrophic, you get to the other side of it and you're like, thanks, God, that was awesome, right? Like,
Yeah.
who knew I could make it through that? And not only that, now I see why.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, yeah, that I want people to know. Just don't stop.
I look at that, just a story that I've shared a lot on my post about my dogs. And, I
Yeah,
went through a horrible relationship, about 13 years ago with just a crazy person. But I ended up buying 3 dogs for her 2 little girls. And then when it ended, she didn't want them. And I knew that, and I kept them. And I wanted them because I was like, these dogs are going to have a great life. And the positive that came out of it, I mean, it was a heck of a year and a half. I mean, every day was an ordeal, but the
yeah,
positive that I have had, thank goodness, for almost 13 years with all 3 of them, has been the biggest blessing in the world.
that's amazing. That is so amazing. I know you love those dogs.
Yeah, I do. They're my kids.
Yes.
To go even further about, why you do what you do, you said, quote, my prayer and hope is that I might inspire anyone to turn their lives around, to dig deep and begin that 180 journey towards betterment, to encourage those that feel they are genetically predisposed, too old, too fat, or too unhealthy for their lives to ever be otherwise. Don't buy into that rhetoric. It's up to you. Yourself speak what you believe to be true about you. Nobody else can decide that for you. Choose wisely, unquote. How do you change that mindset in someone who has bought into the rhetoric a little bit, to where they realize if they truly, really want it bad enough, it's there for
Um, Here is what I've discovered over the years, and I may be wrong, so I can be corrected. You correct me if I'm wrong. The catalyst to change is intrinsic. It has to come from within. I can say the words to someone and it may spark a little motivation, but the real desire has to be, um, like if it were you, it has to come from Michael.
them. Right.
Couldn't be anything I said or did for you. You'd have to want it more for yourself than I want it for you. And that was the hardest lesson for me to learn as a coach, because in the beginning, I wanted more for my clients than they wanted for themselves. I was more invested in their journey than they were. And it was painful. So it's kind of like that Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I mean, you have to just, you have to be honest with them, and they have to be honest with themselves. And it's something I just will ask them to pray about it, what is God saying to you right now? Is he saying, hey, Sandy, it's time to make a change and you and I can do this together? If he's saying that, he's not a liar.
Right.
But is he saying, conversely, is he saying, maybe it's not good enough?
Right.
you know
It's like when you made the decision to stop smoking. No one was going to do that for you. I'm sure that you were told many times, you need to do this, you need to do that, but until you were ready, it wasn't going to happen. It's the same way, I talked about when we were having coffee about fitness. When I had that moment, when I got on that scale and it was 403 pounds and I said, F this, I'm done,
right.
you have those kind of moments here. And, in the end of that song, as you're referring to the Kenny Rogers, no one to walk away, no one to run. I'm sure, unfortunately, you've had to make some hard decisions sometimes, and people that you've trained, because you had so much invested in them. You wanted it more for them than they wanted it for them. And
I know.
sometimes, yeah,
Yeah, that's where you're going, but I've never let anyone go like that, because I just think God can.
good for you.
I just can't. It's
Good for
just
you.
my,
They have to stop themselves before you would give up on them.
yeah.
Right.
They would have to say, you know what, I'm just not making it happen, and this just isn't a thing. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine. When you're ready, and if you ever are ready to make a change, I'm here. You know how to reach me. But no, I've never let anyone go.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's unusual. So that's really great, Pam. You said, quote, You need thick skin like an elephant and to let things roll like water off of a duck's back, because in the end, and we've talked about this, you can only control your thoughts and actions. But once you do, you will be unstoppable, unquote. What are some of the ways that you work with your clients, your students, to help them develop thicker skin and not care what anyone else thinks about their journey?
Well, as humans, we're always going to care. I mean, we can make really stoic and act like we don't, but we're human. God created us to be, sensitive to a point, and
Right.
compassionate and passionate and all those things. So um you just have to, as you journey through life, not let the failures cause you to stay down, not let the naysayers make you hold back. You just have to make a conscious decision that it's up to you and not them as to who's going to make the decisions for you in your life, you and God. um, and that's been the way that, I mean, I've always spoken with my clients, and um, I'm just an encourager, because there's so much discouragement in this world and so much negativity, so much darkness. I just feel like that's what everyone needs at this point.
I'm probably going to pronounce this name wrong, and if I do, please forgive me and correct me. Amarla,
Nathan,
I'm sorry,
I already knew what you were going to say. Amaryllis, Nathan.
Amaryllis, and I would not have gotten it. Amaryllis, is it Nafi?
I've got you. You're exactly correct.
Okay. She said of you, quote, "This is my 10th year to compete in the bodybuilding world. I'm finally happy in the bikini division. I am 59 years old. I have hyperthyroidism. I have a job. I have 4 adult children. I just refuse to give up and live a mediocre life. I will be competing with women 40 and over in age. Whatever happens, I am grateful to make it to the stage. Thank you, Pamela Arnold John, for your expert coaching and believing in me. If Pam can help me, she most certainly can help you. NPC Mid-South Muscle Showdown, here I come," unquote. Your coaching obviously is superior in what you're doing for these, young women. But that second part that you mentioned about believing in her, that's a major part of why many people succeed, in general, but obviously they succeed with you because you really believe in their abilities, and it goes all the way down to your core.
Yes, because I know the conversations that they're having with God. And if God is, like I said, I'm telling you, Michael, if God is telling you you can do something, who the heck is ever going to be against you? Right? I'm on your team. I'm totally on your team. I believe you. Yeah, let's go. So, yes, these ladies are amazing.
You said, quote, "Would not be where I am today if not for every twist, turn, and fork in the road. One thing I did discover for me personally was that I had to let go of the all or nothing mindset. There's a lot of gray out there for a reason. It can be hard to get started when you see the daunting giant picture. You think there's too many things working against you: genetics, age, health conditions, and just a busy life. Try to remember it's not about going as hard as you can all the time. It's if you have the all or nothing attitude mentality, it's difficult to adopt new behaviors and lifestyles. That can be totally overwhelming. It's the daily small micro changes that are sustainable over time that amount to big changes," unquote. And this is one that really hit home with me big time when I was, researching you. And, anytime I've worked out, I have had that all or nothing mindset that you referred to here.
Yeah.
What's happened to me afterwards is that I usually have always reverted back to my old habits and ways. How do you find that balance and not look at it as black or white, but have that gray area?
And my constant reminder is that we're all afflicted with humanity. And when things get tough, say in the gym or in life or anything, and I think, God, that's it. I can't do anymore. I remember, you know, how amazing God is and the things he's capable of. So where I fall short, I know that he can pick up the slack. And it's just believing that. It's not the end. There was a saying I loved that was in A movie. Anyway, I can't think of the name of the movie. Marigold Hotel or something like that. Do you remember that? Um, it is, and I'm a butcher of quotes and jokes. So it's not over. Wait. Nope. See, I can't do it, Michael. I'm sorry. As much as I try.
That's okay.
It just basically is saying, if everything is not great, it's not the end. So just keep going. That's my constant script. Keep going. It's everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it isn't the end.
Like that.
I mean, just keep going. And to get started, if somebody's just stuck in that period of paralysis by analysis, I call it, and they're like, what do I do? How do I can't imagine. The first thing I feel too big, and I feel too sick, or I feel too this. Find one thing that you can manage and manage successfully. Because if you can do that one thing great for, let's say, a week, and then 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then a month, what a great sense of accomplishment you'll have, and how that will build your confidence so that you'll believe that you can tackle something else.
Pam, your parents just celebrated their 61st anniversary, and you said, quote, "Happy anniversary to these two kids. They'll make 61 years look effortless. Grateful to call you mom and dad. Love you and can't wait to celebrate with you both." Unquote. Tell us a little bit about your parents and this wonderful life they've shared together for over 6 decades now.
Oh, wow. They're amazing, incredible people. Can I grab my charger so I don't lose you here real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're good.
Grab that. You know what? I'm not going to be able to. It's in another room. I don't want to leave you. But
if your phone's about to die and you need to grab it, go do it. I can wait. It's no big deal.
It's not your phones. It's the actual phone. I could take you to another room and plug you in. But
okay, you can do that. Walk with me.
They are. Let's see. My mom grew up on a farm and was a sharecropper's daughter. So work ethic, just ridiculous through the roof. Never a complainer. So I never experienced a time when I remember that she was ever sick, ever stressed out, because you just would never know. She was always just beautiful, just a wonderful representation of a human being. Just amazing. Didn't get to graduate high school. She was asked to stay and pick cotton with her family. So that's what she did, and wound up coming to Memphis as an adult, and got her GED. I'm plugging in.
Okay.
Then she met my dad, who I'm now plugged in.
Awesome.
Who is equally as amazing, but totally different in that he did not have an upbringing like my mom. I mean, my mom was one of 5, and she was a twin, and they lived in like a shack with no running water and no electricity. They had to go use the outhouse. They did their wash on a washboard and that kind of thing. They had an ice box. They would heat their water for their bath.
I haven't heard that word icebox in so long.
Right. So, but my dad had everything he ever needed. And they met when she came to Memphis. Gosh, I mean, he worked and went to college, went to night school to graduate. He was the youngest of 3, and she was the oldest. And he was a super overachiever, especially, like I told you, he owned a motorcycle shop. He went on to own a general contracting firm. That was when I met you in high school. He was doing that. He was general contractor. Um, he did some pretty high profile jobs, very successful. And when he was 48, he had his first heart attack. Crazy. He went on to have 5 others, 2 triple bypass surgeries, prostate cancer, um, a lot. So we kind of felt like God had him by the shoulders and was saying,
Yeah.
wake up.
Talk about a survivor.
Absolutely. Here for a purpose, for a real reason. And such a blessing that I still have them both, given that my mom had thyroid issues as well. So anyway, they're amazing. Love, love, love my parents. Can't believe I'm blessed to still have them both in my life.
You and your husband, Bobby, have 3 daughters, Claire, Grace, and Emma. And you also have, grandchildren now too, Liam and Luna.
Yes.
Please share a little bit more about your family.
Okay. So let's see. Bobby and I've been married 30 years. Soulmate, like crazy. Anyway, that's a different story. You want to know about family, not about my husband. Then
We'll get to him next, I promise. Yeah, he's the last one I'm going to talk about.
Okay, we had Grace in 96. Can't believe she's such a grown, independent, amazing entrepreneur. Like, she has accomplished so much that at her age, it was nowhere on my radar to do anything quite so amazing, because I was not as secure. And I just think what incredible confidence it must take to accomplish all the things that she's accomplished. I'm so proud of her. And then Emma is 23. She just got married in the spring. She has 2 babies. Again, incredible, trilingual, like not bilingual. She speaks Spanish and Portuguese. She's my writer that I was telling you about, just very talented and able to paint a picture with words like nobody else I've ever met. I mean, just a natural gift. And the kind of person that you meet that you just want good for. I don't know if you've ever met someone that you just want to scoop them up and do whatever you can for them. Right. Even ask, you just love them. Like, I love all my girls. All my girls, they're that to me. But I feel like the whole world looks at Emma and they go, oh, some people just have that whole, we like you, we really like you sort of vibe. Yeah. And then, which they all do again, but Emma she doesn't know. She has no clue. I want her to know. And then Claire, my baby, is at UT Knox, and she's a bartender. She is wickedly funny, beautiful, as they all are. And like, she was the one that I thought was going to kill us. I mean, Bobby would tell you she's most like him, but if you remember what I was like in high school, Bobby didn't know me at that point. She's probably a lot like both of us, I dare say, because I was a bit more rebellious than Bobby was.
Right.
So she's fiery, and I'm glad, because I think it takes some of that fire for certain people anyway.
Last but certainly not least is your incredible life together with your husband, Bobby. And you talked about 30 years. This past July 17th was your anniversary. And you've shared some really, some very heartfelt things about him. On his birthday, you said, quote, Bobby John, you are the best husband, son, father, grandfather, and friend anyone could ever ask for. And I count my blessings on days like today. I'm so grateful you're mine. I love you more to and beyond, and praise God for bringing us together. I can't wait to spend eternity with you, unquote. On Father's Day, you said, quote, Bobby John, you're the most hardworking, greatest dad to our girls, the most wonderful husband and supportive ride or die. What you do for us cannot be summed up because you do it selflessly and with so much love. I hope you know we all love you and appreciate everything you do, not just on Father's Day, but every day. And lastly, on Valentine's Day, you simply said, "Dear Bobby John, I love you more," unquote. You guys are the epitome of what true love is all about. I mean, 30 years, 3 kids, 2 grandkids. I know we said a lot there, but can you add anything else about him that you'd love to share about your life?
It's just been such a fun ride. I was saying to my prayer group, and I told them I probably would never tell him this, and I still haven't. But here we go. Now, if he watches this, he'll know. I was saying to them that the most we share our God moment, and I'm like, I've been having them with Bobby, and it's been that I've seen just this huge metamorphosis in him over the years, not just in the last week or 2 or 3, but to change from this sort of frat boy mentality when we first met to the dad who still wanted to be with his friends and struggled there to truly like the 180, sincerely anticipating what my needs are before his, wanting for the girls at his own sacrifice, like just selfless, watching him go from, and I don't ever want to say he was selfish because he wasn't, but just because it's the opposite of selfless,
Sure.
you know, just to watch that transformation and to just see God work in his life has been the most amazing. Like I could cry right now. It's been the most amazing gift. And a part of that, like it's when I compete, and I went to my priest before I ever went down this road. And I said, is this okay? You know, I'm going to speak with my family, but I want to know that the church will support me. And he said, as long as your heart is in the right place, it's fine. It's fine. So I've been checking myself along the way. It's been 10 long years. A lot of it's a very dark industry. I mean, you are looking at your body and trying to make it aesthetically pleasing. That's the object of what my craft is, right?
Right.
Making the body aesthetically and visually as close to an ideal as you can. But again, I have to keep reminding myself if I'm doing that because I'm trying to inspire and motivate others, it's really okay as long as my heart is in the right place. Well, it's hard for someone who's super close to an athlete like myself to endure a prep. I don't know if you can imagine what that might be like. Um, to watch me get up at 5 a.m. and go and do all the cardio and then get in the gym and then work with all the clients and then do more cardio. And then at the end of the day, to sit down with them, like he's looking at me going, "You're tired, aren't you, Emily?" "I'm tired." "Yeah." And I feel guilty because I don't want to be any other way but loving, but I'm tired, right? So he's given me grace, a lot of grace when I'm crap moody, bone tired, depleted, just beyond exhausted from work. Um, in the beginning of the journey, he would get angry, 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 and resentful. And now he says, "What can I do? What can I do to help you? Can I carry your bags? What do you need? Are you hungry?" And I'm like, "Oh, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Like that you care about me, even though I'm a wart on the planet." I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
It
it
does.
just,
It makes a lot of sense.
it means so much. And I only pray that I give to him to the degree, or hopefully more than I perceive that he gives to me.
Like you said, I love you more.
I, I'm bad with words.
You're not bad with words when you write them down, at least at the very minimum, because what I read was just awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
And I know he appreciates it too. I know he
I
does.
thank you. I hope so.
Pam, what are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life, if you can name a few?
Oh, how about just the one I've been saying over and over, which is you got to keep going, keep pressing on, keep moving forward. Um, there's no reason not to, right?
Right.
So
What
that's
other
probably,
choice do we have?
well, I mean,
Got
no other one, right?
right, right. You got to keep going.
Yes. Yes. And choose your reactions carefully as well to life and what life throws at you. Um, I think there's so much to be said about someone who, though has good reason to react in a big way, um, has the temperance to thoughtfully, um, not calculate, but just thoughtfully respond instead of knee jerk or, it just, as I get older, I'm noticing temper is so ugly. It's just not anything I'm attracted to in a human.
Right.
Or anger. I'll say anger. Temper it's different. But
Pam, how can somebody find Pamela John Fitness on social media and contact you if they're interested in training with you? Because you train more than just, women who want to compete. You also train the, everyday person too, because you have an in-home gym, correct?
yes, yes, I do lifestyle as well. So if they want to get in touch with me, they can email me at Pamela John Fit number 4 life at gmail.com, or find me on Instagram at Pamela Fit for Life, or on Facebook at Pamela Arnold John, or Pamela Fit for Life. I have a page there too. Go to my website.
You're a winner, and you've gone through a lot to get to the place that you are now. And we know each other on a personal level, and I can test the fact that you have a huge heart. You genuinely, you care about people. In the 10 years that you have been at this, it's never been about making money for you. I mean, it's about helping people to better their lives, and develop long-term healthy habits, that they stick this time with people, and keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is awesome.
Oh,
But please, at some point in time, paint again. You're so good. You're just so good.
thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's very kind.
My pleasure. And I really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. It it didn't like kill me or anything, so it was
And I
great.
told you it was going to be good. So thanks again, dear.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.